Hey everyone, Cading Sergeant Steele here, and today I want to talk to you about something very special. I just got back from the 2024 Grand Narrative in the Cassandra system, and it was a blast. But while I was there, they released or did the preview for the new Death Korps of Krieg model. So I just want to take a minute in today's video and talk about my thoughts on those previews and what I think of the units and models that they're putting out. So without any further ado, let's dive into it and let's talk about one of everyone's favorite regiments. If you haven't seen this yet, you can go to warhammercommunity.com, right? warhammer-community.com, and to be able to view everything here. And that's what I'm doing right now, as I'm going to just go through their website and talk you through it piece by piece and give you my thoughts on each part of it. I am a longtime Guard player, avid maker of Guard content, obviously, which is why you're here, hopefully watching this as well. And I've owned Krieg before. I have Krieg models now. I used to own a very large Krieg army. Part of it I bought myself, part of it a friend had given to me. And in large, my favorite part of the Krieg was the artillery. This preview, just up front, exceeded my expectations. This is way beyond what I thought they were going to do for a Krieg release, which is very exciting. So let's look at this. There is a video here that kind of plays through, and I do recommend watching the video. It's got various angles that aren't shown in the photography and shows the models in many different ways. And they also discuss a little bit about the Krieg models if you go look at their live stream, pre-recorded live stream that they did of this preview show. So what's going to happen is these are going to come out in a box set in January. That is super exciting. Here in the box set, already we can see it's going to have a new rule book, and it's going to have Death Korps Krieg limited edition cover rule book. It's going to have the new data cards in it as well. And we will have these new units that are shown here. But let's go down and talk about them. First, we have a named character. This is Lord Marshal Varnon Dreer, and he is a mounted commander for the Death Korps of Krieg. And so here, and you can see very special things about these models. Now, we got a little bit of this, if you remember, in a preview long ago. That little sign you see back there, and I think the foot was part of those black and white images that they tease a while out. And so here we can now see the full model and what's going on. With this beautifully decorated commander, right? I love the helmet. I love all the adornment, the sash, the medals, and everything on the model. I love also where they've taken the cavalry for the Death Korps of Krieg. And so we're going to see both this kind of mutated, laboratory kind of made horses, but they're also machined and made to look like living organisms as well. And that's part of the lore here of this model and why we see so many like components like literally plugged into the horse, so to say, because it is mostly mechanical, with this kind of flesh layer and fur layer over top of it, and the custom hooves for fighting in the trench warfare like they do. Beautiful base, absolutely amazing. We can see some skulls and helmets and wood and barbed wire and everything down on there, rocks and so forth. A little danger sign in the back. We can see some tubes, and we can see an Aquila on the front there on the armor plate of the horse. I think overall in plastic, this is a really beautiful model, and we're going to see some amazing stuff done with this model. I love the las pistol option. We can also see it looks like there may be a las rifle option, or that there's some stuff on the back of the model here. In the video, it shows it a little bit clear, but we can definitely lots of details that are kind of happening, and so kind of gives away a little bit about this model and what we can kind of expect from it. So this may be like a Lord Solar alternative for the Krieg, which would be really cool if that is the case, and they can order a large number of units, just like Lord Solar can currently for the Guard. Now, this is barring any changes after the Codex release in 2025. This video is being recorded in November 2024. So here we can see some other close-ups. He has a power sword option, the las pistol option. There does appear to be a, we can see the pistol in a holster here. And that to me looks like maybe something that's a las rifle. So maybe there's multiple options for the weapons here. Be nice to have a model that's a leader with more than 12 inches of range. Often doesn't come up, but it's fun when it does. And for you to make your pop shots. We can now see here in these detailed photos more of the mechanical nature, where this is a machine made to be more horse-like in a way, that they ride into battle. And this is all the new cavalry that we're going to be looking at for Death Korps Krieg. We can even see a mechanical leg here on Commander Dreer, which I think is really cool. So overall, I think it's a very beautiful model. We're never going to get the fine detail that we used to have in resin. That's going to be gone. You can't accomplish that with plastic molding in the same way that GW wants it done and with the casting that they're using. But instead, we're going to get very ornate models that are much more, well, they're much more resilient, right? They're not going to shatter as easily. How many of us have broken a resin model that collect them? All of us. We really have. Drop it on the floor, bump into it, push on it a little hard, and resin is brittle. And that's why part of the reason why they're shifting to plastic, in addition to it being toxic when cutting into it and drilling and the dust and stuff created from it, but also because it's not good for entry-level hobbyists. So here we're seeing it these kits done in plastic, and so we're going to lose some of the pros of resin, and we're definitely getting rid of the cons. And in exchange for that, we're still getting some very beautiful models. So I'm very excited about this commander and to see what he has to offer. Then we can see more of the Death Riders here. We can see kind of more pronounced the kind of clawed-like feet that they have rather than hooves. We got a banner bearer here with a banner on the end of one of the lances, right? Very cool. And then they show off a number of other kind of variants of these models. These are replacing the resin Death Riders. We can see power sword option, the spears as well. They have las rifles. It looks like they have backpacks, maybe even with antennas on them, perhaps. Yeah, that looks like a Vox antenna there. So that's pretty interesting. I'm curious to see maybe what kind of rules come with that. We can see a clear kind of las rifle type piece of equipment here on the front. I say type. They have surprised us with a few new weapons in the last Codex release. So it's hard to tell what this might be in particular until they tell us so. And one example I want to give is the 18-inch pistol weapon that heavy weapons have now, which did not exist prior to the 10th or prior to 10th edition, really. Or that may have been their 9th edition and they kept it over, yeah. But it was a strange kind of new weapon option they had given us. So here we can once again see these models. I think this color scheme is kind of interesting, but I'm very curious to see what other people do with it. I'm going to be doing my gray and green color scheme on this. And I don't know what color I want to do the horses in yet. And I'm going to be looking at this myself to just kind of think through the hobby on it a little bit and what I want to do with it. Then, oh, I'm so excited for this. We're getting combat engineers back. We are getting one of my favorite units for the Death Korps Krieg back, and this time in plastic. So we can see here some new weapon options, right? We do have their new drone that they're going to have, right? They're kind of, it's a melt-a-bomb, it looks like, strapped to a drone, and you got a drone operator, and that thing's going to drive across the battlefield and probably deal mortal wounds to nearby enemies. We have shotguns back again. We've not had guard shotguns in a while, and I'm so excited to get them back. I still have Cadians with shotguns. I have two 10-man squads of combat engineers with shotguns. Now I get to run those again. I'll get these new plastic ones too. I'll definitely try those out and put them in there, but now I can also field all the others as well, and I'm very excited about that. We can also see a new pistol option here. It looks like an auto gun style pistol. Could just be a las pistol. We'll see what exactly they name it. And as well, where we will have the power sword and the flamer. It also looks like they have a melee option. I find that very interesting. And what that may mean for their rules. Because for us to have a melee option, I mean, maybe they expect us to put them in chimeras, or maybe they'll still be selling the Hades breaching drill and we'll still get to use that and they will get to come up. Used to be the Hades breaching drill could only be used by the combat engineers for the Krieg. They changed that because they did away with combat engineers, and then any infantry unit could go into a Hades breaching drill and come out. So I'm curious to see what other shenanigans we may have with the combat engineers as well. So I'm speculating a little bit there about what could be to come or what could stay and then be modified to support this unit in a really cool way in the narrative. So we'll see how that kind of works out. Next, this one, I'm so excited. Okay, so we have a new artillery unit, and they are calling this the artillery team. This is a 130 millimeter base. This is huge, massive. Okay, so we're getting that. And this right here is showing their new siege cannon. But I want to stress there's actually like two options to the siege cannon, it appears, or one option. So this looks like maybe it's a basilisk replacement, or maybe it's something in between the Earthshaker carriages, and the Medusa. So maybe it's a halfway point between the two to kind of blend them together. With this, I do expect for the artillery carriages sold in Forge World resin to be discontinued. This is clearly meant to replace those. Makes me sad. We'll probably see them go to Legends, and they're done. I have a lot of them. And I love them very much. Some of my favorite models, but it looks like now we have our replacement, and that is going to be the artillery team. But there are several weapon options for this. We also have this heavy mortar. So we're getting heavy mortars back for anybody who owned those. We're also getting a multiple rocket launcher. And we're getting the quad gun again. So in case I have so many of the original ones from Forge World. This one right here was actually given to me by Katie and Shock. So thank you, Katie and Shock. I cherish this one, and I can't wait. What I'm going to do is put this on 130 millimeter base, and now I'm going to start using it again, and I'm very excited about that. So basically, with the quad gun and the heavy mortars back out of Legends in a way through the artillery team, that is super exciting for me, and I can't wait to see what the rules are for this and how they're balancing artillery for guard in 10th edition. And so we'll see kind of how that plays out. They said that there is this kind of attrition, this kind of, trench siege warfare detachment option. And I imagine that will play to the artillery. But how do you do that without making artillery overpowered? And I'll talk more about that in just a second, because they've already talked about it a little bit, and it's a footnote at the very bottom of this page. So we have this here. This is a single model unit. One model. And it comes with 4 weapon options. Okay. We have the heavy mortar, multiple rocket launcher, quad gun, and then we have the siege cannon. So that means rule 3, you can only take 3 of these, no matter the combination of weapons. So 3 siege cannons, or 1 siege cannon, 1 heavy mortar, and 1 quad launcher, so on and so forth, right? But 3. That's a good way to limit guard artillery. So I'm okay with that. That's going to prevent us from just spamming entire massive lines of it. That's never fun for your opponent, right? You're killing their whole army and they can't even see yours. That's not a fun experience. You want an interactive game. And so this is one of the ways that they're going to accomplish that, by combining all this to a single unit. But they've made note the field ordnance battery is still a completely different unit. And with that one, you could take up to 6 bases, right? Because there's 2 per data sheet, 2 models per unit. So you can have up to 6 of those. So you could take 6 bombast guns and then 3 siege cannons. That's pretty fluffy. I mean, that's a lot of artillery fire. That's exactly what I'm thinking about doing. If you all don't know and you're new to the channel, or you don't know me personally, I used to play a ton of guard artillery. I love guard artillery. I think it's what makes the Astra Militarum so unique, is how much artillery we have and the access we have to it. I think it complements the infantry well. What I want to do is try to pick off the enemy while my troops then rush forward and capture the positions. Very thematic, very fun, but it has in past editions been overwhelming. And now it appears that they are hopefully adjusting that through balanced data slate, through how they're doing data sheets and weapon options now, right? I won't be able to take a bajillion pieces of artillery, at least be able to afford it in points. I don't think this means we'll be losing our self-propelled artillery. And what I mean by that, the Hydra, the Basilisk, the Manticore, and so forth, right? Everything on tracks that's on that Chimera chassis. I don't think we're going to be losing that. Instead, this is just going to be another option on top of that. So then technically, that's still a lot of artillery option. But we'll see how they point cost this. We'll see how they write the rules, and we'll see how this interacts with the rest of the army when the codex comes out. Could be really interesting. How do they receive orders? Can they receive orders? And what the unit rules are going to be. Then we get a cover. We get shown off the limited edition cover with that beautiful, beautiful classic Krieg artwork there. Very excited for that. That's, I believe, the Siege of Rax artwork, and they've brought that back for the codex, and I'm all for it. Then, and they also go ahead and tell us a full set of 66 data cards. 66 data cards. So that gives you a hint of how many new units, because we see some of the new units here, and then we can figure out how many units are going to be cut. And I'll try to figure that out, and I'll post that in a separate video. I haven't done the math yet, but I just want to let you know that that's out there, and you can look for yourself. Now, they've also talked about the Lord Commissar. So this used to be a model we had in older editions. I miss this unit, and they have brought it back. Praise the Emperor. Yes, yes, yes. Everything about this. We're getting a power fist. We're getting plasma pistol, and I think there's some other weapon options as well. And that has now returned. It's so cool, and I'm very excited. And for everybody out there going, oh, Krieg don't need a Commissar. The commissars, what you need to remember narratively in Krieg, they're not there to necessarily execute them for cowardice. They're there to make sure they don't go over the trench lines and uselessly sacrifice themselves unnecessarily and then not achieve their goal. So the commissars are actually there to put a leash on the Krieg. And so for all those folks making a joke, oh, the Krieg don't need a commissar, calm down. They do. It's just, it works much differently in this regiment. They also show off with that the command squad. And so that's what we see here. We see a radio operator and also a great little servo skull, set of servo skulls writing down on a scroll. I love that. I don't know what that's going to mean for rules, but that's really cool. And I want 2 of them, or 3. I want several. We can also see the, this is kind of a medic-like character, but it's more somebody to treat the poison that they would receive while out in the trenches in case their, their protective masks do not work. We can see the commander there with a great pointed cap and chainsword and a bolt pistol and a classic kind of, the commanders usually had larger breastplate armor, and so we can see that there. Then we're showing a new banner bearer. I love a regimental banner. And this one, here's what I'm excited about. It's this one shown, not to say there couldn't be multiple options in the box, but the one shown is very plain. I actually like a plain one because then we can customize it, right? You can really make it your own. You want to add imagery or you want to add transfers in there to kind of give more detail to it or less detail. On my Cadian one that was more plain, I painted Cadia as the center circle and then the Eye of Terror in the space around it. And that was a lot of fun to be able to do that. We also see a special weapon option here. So we have a melter gunner, and on top of his backpack there, if I'm not mistaken, that looks like a round canteen with that little cap on it. But it could be something else, the wire cutters and some of the other gear. We've also already seen on the new Krieg models. Very cool details, very neat, like little war gear options here. So I'm very excited for this new unit as well. Then, oh, the thing we have not had in plastic ever before, also, once again, so they've resurrected it, is the heavy support squad, or in other words, the heavy weapons teams for Krieg. And so now we have those with a new model called the Fire Coordinator. I'm very curious about that and what the rules are going to be for the Fire Coordinator. And so one of the things Krieg had that no other regiment had in terms of modeling options was a heavy stubber heavy weapons team, like rolled out on a cart. Really cool, almost like autocannons do, right? And here we can see a twin linked heavy stubber. Heavy stubbers currently, pre-codex, and just currently generally in 10th edition, are one of the best weapon options to just slap on something. They have 36-inch range, rapid fire 3 attacks. So that means at 18 inches, which with the tiny tables we play on now, that's very easy to get to, you get 6 shots at strength 4, no AP, 1 damage. And now you're telling me we get one of those twin linked? These are excellent weapons, and now we're going to get them. We also get, we see a las cannon option shown here, and Krieg had a flamer option, and they've brought back the heavy flamer. We finally get the heavy flamer back. We haven't had this since what, 8th edition? It's been a little while, and it's one of the things they kind of let go in, I think, 9th and 10th with the index cards and the codex changes. It used to be the command squad could take heavy flamers. And so I'm talking about with infantry, because obviously we still have it on the sentinels, right? And also on our vehicles, but we don't have it on infantry models anymore. And now we have it back on infantry models. That is really cool. I'm very excited for that as well. Then they show off the standard cover. We got some, looks like new artwork here for the Krieg on the standard cover. Very cool. This looks like, if this image is correct, it's a hefty, thick rule book, as it should be for the Guard. So that's very exciting to see what we may get there with everything inside of there. And I hopefully some really good lore. We've had some resets, right? Because we've lost a lot of named characters and we've gained some new ones. So maybe now, I've read Ursula's book. It's a good book. I do highly recommend it. And trust me, you want to get through it to the end. And at the end, I was a little lukewarm about, but what I'm telling you about the finale, and I'm not going to spoil that, but the book in general, like the 2/3 of it, the actual action, they get on the planet, they get in there. Wow. Just really cool. And maybe it's because I'm obsessed with fighting against the enemy that's in the book, but it was really good. And Lord Solar's books just come out. They just re-released the Siege of Rax book. And with that, maybe there's some updated lore chapters in here, and also our 66 datasheet cards and our 5 detachments that we are getting. That is very exciting as well. So I'm happy to see us get 5 detachment options for the Astra Militarum. So that's it. That's it for the preview show. They did talk about some more details in their live stream, but you can go watch that video yourself. You don't need me to do that for you. But so go check that out. It was on their Twitch channel, and I'm sure they probably uploaded it to YouTube by now as well. So go check it out at either location if it's available at both. But overall, I'm very happy with the new Plastic Krieg. This looks like it's going to be very exciting in terms of modeling options, units that we're going to have available to us, all the cool kit bashing and customization we're going to be able to do now with all these kits we have, all these new kits for Guard. And who knows what else is in store for us, too, beyond this. There could be an extra 1 or 2 models they haven't shown off yet. I doubt it, to be honest with you. I really do doubt that. We could get more kill teams, and we know we're going to. We're getting a Rattling kill team coming soon. But there could be others. We could get a Catachin kill team in 2025 or something else. And so we just need to keep an eye out for that as they retire some of the existing kill teams and they come out with new ones, and see maybe what they have in store for the Astra Militarum. Which is a super popular faction, right? I mean, we're one of the most played and purchased factions in Warhammer. And so no wonder we're getting this kind of support. And I know a lot of folks are going to be disappointed in these models, but I think the majority of players are very happy and they're very excited to see this as well. So I hope that you feel that way and you're excited and you want to collect and paint these models or the other Astra Militarum models. I mean, because come on. You know I'm not going to get onto you for collecting and painting Cadians. The greatest regiment. I'm just saying. But enjoy your Krieg too. And I love my Krieg as well. And I'll be getting some of my resin models probably finished painted over the winter, so I can have them ready for when this releases, as I know what kits will still be around now when these come out in plastic. And I expect we'll probably get some rules in December leading up to Christmas, or maybe between Christmas and New Year's, or just after New Year's. We don't know the exact release date for this codex yet, but it's coming, and they'll be feeding us rules a couple weeks out, and then a whole flood of stuff right ahead of time. So we'll just see how it goes. So let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what you think of the units they decided to kind of resurrect from the resin line. It's a lot of them, and I'm very excited, and I'm also happy with it, how it looks like they're handling artillery as well. We can be overbearing, and we were in past editions with artillery, so I think the way they decided to approach this by shoving all the Krieg artillery options into a single data sheet is a great way to kind of rein that in and to prevent some abuses with that, especially in match play. Obviously, if you want to play casually or narratively or open, and you want to do that with your friends, you want to talk to them about it, like, hey, can I bring more than 3 of a unit? You can do that. But I'm just saying most people play with rule of 3, so that's your limitation. And I think that's a good way they've kind of reined that in as well. And I'm excited about that. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you've enjoyed the other content on the channel. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. I appreciate each and every one of you. And also just shout out real quick. Thank you to everybody that I met and saw at the Grand Narrative 2024. That's why my voice is hoarse right now. I'm so exhausted. You all were amazing. It was so amazing to meet you all. More folks than I could ever name or even remember their names of. I'm so sorry. But there were so many of you, and it was beautiful and wonderful meeting you. And especially there was a couple folks that were in guard cosplay that said I inspired them. And that was pretty amazing. And it meant a lot to me to inspire somebody else to seek out something that brought them so much joy in the hobby. So I'm very glad that I've done it for you, and hopefully we can do it for each other and continue to grow this wonderful community that we are a part of and have a great time. So that's it. That's all I have for you today. So as always, have fun wargaming. And remember, Cadia stands.